Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Arwen again while we finish building our greenhouse to keep our chickens in. And she's out here with Shadowfax, who's out here grazing, having a good old time. And today I wanted to talk about grazing your goat. Not necessarily free-ranging. Free-ranging is not safe in a lot of situations, and it's not generally recommended, even though we free-range Arwen all the time. But grazing is different. Grazing would be in an enclosed pasture or grazing area. So when we hear the word grazing or pasture, usually we think of like grassy fields or nice big meadows or prairies or things like that. So you have to remember though that goats are not horses. They're more like deer, okay? They like twigs and leaves and wildflower, weeds, goobers, some grass, but they eat all the things you think they shouldn't. Okay? They go into the bush and they eat up all your underbrush and they eat all your twigs and they eat, it's nonsense what they eat. You're going back in. We're talking about grazing and you're going to go back in? Are you a bum? Yes, you're a complete bum. We're talking about grazing and you're back in the paddock. Fine. Be that way. Hi, you're grazing. Good for you. Good for you. Anyway, she's coming back. Good. But they're more like deer. Okay, so they like that kind of brush-studded, rough, rocky areas filled with so many weeds and twigs you can't even think about it. They like things like tumbleweeds, and they're kind of nonsense eaters. They eat all the nonsense, and that's a good thing. We like that. So they're excellent companion grazers because they are what I like to call a brush grazer. They eat all the brush. They're a really good companion grazer to things like horses and cattle because, like, look at Shadowfax here. He's eating pretty much the clover and the grass, but she will eat all the other junk. She'll eat a little bit of grass, but generally she actually prefers other things. She prefers your twigs and your weeds, and if you were here when we had Lily, you would notice she ate all the weeds. So goats forage differently than horses. Like, he's just going to wander around eating grass. She's, first of all, going to follow Tristan around like a little puppy, but mostly she's going to eat twigs and nonsense. There goes Shadowfax again. So they're really good grazers to have with animals that eat mostly grass. Yeah, he's filling waters. It is a little warm out, by the way, and we are still suffering some heat, but not as bad as we did a couple days ago. But still, it's July. So, again, goats are good companion grazers to horses, cattle, things that eat a lot of grass. Because they'll eat their way through the weeds, the briar, the saplings, the brush. They'll clear the way for true grass pasture, which is awesome. And I think it's going to start raining again, and that's so annoying. That is so annoying. Especially because I have laundry on the line. Oh my God. I hate rain. Why are you guys hissing? Stop hissing at me. Whatever. Quail hiss at me. We don't talk about that. So anyway, they'll eat things like your poison ivy and your poison oak and all those goobers. That's a good thing. So because they do eat a lot of things like the poison ivy, they're really popular with people who want their land cleared of brush. Because they'll eat stuff that other people, just other animals, just won't eat. There's some feet. Some feet of animals. My camera was angled funny there. So all you got to see were their feet. So a lot of people are willing to hire people who have goats to clear their brush. So many landowners, myself included, if I didn't have as many foraging guys as I do, but many people will hire goats to clear out their areas. Here's the goat. We should be filming the goat, not the horse. So that is actually something people do as a business. They hire out goats. So I'm not saying that that's something you should do, but it is something to be aware of. So if you do end up with a herd of 40 goats, that's something you could look into. hiring them out to clear brush because they're excellent grazers. They eat all that stuff that your things like your sheep and your mini horses and things will not eat. So it's actually quite fantastic. And I definitely recommend goats for clearing brush because they're really good at it. Usually you need a group of them. So right now we only have the one goat. We are looking into getting more. Achoo. Yeah. So we're definitely looking into getting more goats. And the reason you generally need more than one goat is because they compete with each other. So if you do want them to clear out brush, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you are allowing them to compete with each other and having more than one goat. Otherwise, they can get really lazy about it, and we're all just following Tristan because he may or may not produce snacks. Yeah, they're just following him because they can. They're hilarious. And yes, for people who keep asking, they're fine. These guys are fine. We don't have to worry. He's not going to run off. She's not going to run off. They just kind of do their thing and free range a great deal of the day. Because they can, and it's summer, and there's lots of grass to eat. And someone might as well eat all this grass. But yes, so goats again. They are really effective at clearing brush. Just don't expect them to mow your lawn. Some do. Goat boops. Goat smooches. Yeah. So some of them absolutely will eat up your grass and help you trim your grass. But generally, goats are foragers. They really like brush. So instead of being your grass cutters, they'll be your poison ivy eaters. They'll be your weed eaters. Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. If you're looking for something specifically to keep your grass clipped, I recommend mini horses or sheep because that's just what they're into. Anyway, that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. I do recommend grazing your goat if it is safe to do so. They enjoy it, and it helps keep your property a little bit under control so you don't end up with too much overgrowth. But remember to graze them in pairs. We'll see you tomorrow.